And we're back with another episode with Latara and Chris. Let's get into it. I feel like I'm breathing hard. Waiting on my co-host. Letting him know that I am on. Little nappy head little girl. I know y'all tired of me looking nappy headed. If y'all tired of me looking nappy headed, send me some stars. Okay? Send me some stars if you are tired of me looking like a nappy head little girl. Okay? So I can get my hair done. All right? Because it looks like a travesty. You know? Is that a word? Tragedy. One of those. Travesty or tragedy? I don't know. I'm not a scholar. Hello to whoever's hopped on. That's my guy, Christopher. So I'm gonna go over since I know now, since I know better. Well, user is connecting. Oh, okay, maybe that's because you were connecting. Hola, ¿cómo está?
What's up? What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know, my phone. It's like the video's low. But that's okay. Everything is no problem. No problem at all. How are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hello to everybody who's hopped on. I hope you guys are feeling absolutely amazed balls. All right. I'm feeling pretty good. And I was just kind of putting it out there. I know y'all see where it says at the bottom of the screen that you guys can support us by sending us stars. Okay, so send us some stars so your girl can stop looking like a nappy head little chicken head, okay? Because we're looking real nappy. It's happy, but it's nappy, all right? Hey, Jamie, it's good to see you. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in with me and Chris tonight. We haven't even discussed a topic. Like, to be very clear, we just winging it, guys. We're just we're just winging it. We're just winging it. So feel free to whoever hops on to just dialogue with us, like just vibe with us, send us some comments or just add to the discussion, because tonight is just strictly vibes. It's just a vibe. So Chris, is there anything that you'd like to talk about?
um, I seen something. It's two topics that kind of bother me. When it comes.
Before you go deep into your topics, I want to tell you that your camera looks like it's blurry. Like your video looks blurry.
Really?
Yeah.
Why it don't look blurry on my end?
I don't know. I'm gonna send you a screenshot.
I
I'm
need to
good
come
at that
back.
screenshot, boy. I'm good at that screenshot, boy.
Do I need to come back or flip it?
No, I don't know that I don't know. Let me just send you what it looked like. Like, it's just a little blurry.
If I flip it, is it still blurry?
I can hear you so much better. I don't know what you did, but I can hear you so much better. But now it says mute. Hey, Jamie. So first of all, Jamie, I just want to thank you for sharing my live, which was episode 2, I want to say it was, episode 2 about manifesting in celibacy. I can hear echo now. But yeah, like you look better. Your video is very clear, but I can hear myself. But yeah, so Jamie, I want to thank you for sharing that live, especially because I saw that there was some feedback on it. Clearly you had a question about it because somebody had come to you about advice on celibacy or something to that degree. Like, just to bring you up to speed, anybody who's watching this, just to bring you guys up to speed, Jamie
Jamie
had
had
posted
posted
a
a
question
question.
about celibacy. And basically what he was saying was that if somebody was if someone released during the act of like making out, is, you know, would that disrupt their celibacy? Like, are they no longer celibacy because they weren't touching but they were making out, right? And so I went ahead and hopped in the discussion group. Okay. I went ahead and hopped in the comments because obviously, like, you know, that's been my story, that's a part of my journey, and I just felt like I had something to add to that dialogue. So I just commented and said, just as someone who's practicing celibacy, I would not encourage anyone who's on the path to have like these makeout sessions. Like, I feel like that's a complete setup for for the actual act, right? Like when we think about making out, you know, physical touch, even kissing, that's considered foreplay. So if you are really hell-bent or really committed or would like to be committed to your journey, then you're going to have to put some boundaries in place in order for you to truly be effective. Excuse me, in order for you to truly be successful. And so that was, Chris, I'm gonna see if I can bring you back on. um so yeah, the whole idea of, you know, like we're together and as long as we're not touching, but we're still kissing, and even that, right? Like, so just to go a little bit deeper, what I shared was pecking. Okay, cool, you know what I'm saying? But if we're having a whole tongue fight, then what are we really setting ourselves up for? You know what I'm saying? If we're we know to hug, but next thing you know, I'm sitting on your lap and you're rubbing on me and you're holding, you know, hugging on me and you're like, what are we setting ourselves up for? It's called foreplay. So you have to really have boundaries in place. And this means also the person that you are dealing with needs to be on the same page with you. It's going to be hard for you to practice celibacy if you're dealing with somebody who's not on that path, because they have no understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. They don't have the same mission. They don't have the same you know, viewpoints. They don't have the same goal at hand, right? So technically you guys aren't even aligned if you are wanting to practice celibacy and, you know, they aren't. Like, that's first and foremost. You definitely want to make sure that whoever you are going into this journey with, I'm going to see if I can just send you a request. um so yeah, like whoever you are dealing with, whoever you are on the path with, and I say on the path, but like in a relationship with, and this just goes back to what we were talking about last week about equally yoked relationships. If you are dealing with somebody and you have this idea about where you're going in your relationship and they're not there yet, y'all aren't technically equally yoked. Y'all probably need to reevaluate y'all's relationship because, you know, clearly y'all aren't on the same page. Right? You don't want to be tempting to someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to put them in a position to where now they have to compromise their goals and the things that they're trying to accomplish, you know. So it's good to be, it's saying adding, Chris, I'm gonna send you a screenshot. um it's saying adding, but yeah, you don't want to be double-minded. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what that is. It's being double-minded. You're not technically on the same page. So you're going to be more into, Kevin, you're going to be more into trying to please your partner than you are on the mission. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to be equally yoked. It's good to be in the same calling. You guys want to have the same mindset. You want to have the same goals in a sense. So that was the question, if you will. Like, the question was, if two people are basically dating or whatever, they're together, but say they're on this celibacy journey and, you know, they make out, and then they're making out, although there's no touching involved, one person releases or a person releases, is that still considered celibacy? So I was just saying I wouldn't set myself up for that. I wouldn't set myself up for that. Like the person that I'd be dealing with or whatever the case may be, like they have to be on the same page with me. They'd have to understand that this is where I am. This is what I'm not doing. This is what, this is how far we can go. And, I just probably wouldn't have many makeout sessions, if at all. I wouldn't have many touchy-feely sessions, if at all. You know what I'm saying? You just have to know your boundaries, and you have to be very clear about that up front. Which makes me think about this video that I saw. I think his name is Steven Speaks. And he was speaking about, hi, Leticia. He was speaking about how this woman, and I hope Chris can get back on the live because I want to talk about the one. But he was speaking about, one of his clients, she started dating this guy, or rather before she started dating this guy, she had prayed to God, like, God, please send me the one, send me my man. I'm just ready for my man. And right after, hi, Ayub. Hi. Oh my God, look at my God, Ayub. But anyway, so not long after she prayed to God for her man, she went to this event, saw this guy, and she just felt like the heavens opened. I know, I miss you. I'm Tumemingus. Tumemingus. So yeah, I see you living well in Denver, and I'm super happy. I enjoy watching your love life. Okay, maybe I'm living vicariously through you. But anyways, yeah, so she went to this event, and this man came through the doors, right? And she just knew that God had answered her prayers. Okay. So in the midst of that, they start talking, they start dating, but she didn't tell this guy, hi, Chris, hello, Lovey. She didn't tell this guy that she was practicing celibacy. She didn't tell this guy that she wasn't, having sex until marriage, until they were, so many months into their dating. And then all of a sudden now they're not talking anymore at all. He was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And what Stephen was saying was, so often we're quick to take these signs, you know what I'm saying? Or right, like we think that our desires, we make these prayers, we say these prayers to God, and whenever something that we want, or it appears to be what we want, shows up, we don't go back to God and validate that. Like we don't go back to confirm with God that this is who you sent for me. We just automatically assume, like, I prayed, here goes my man, God dropped him from the heavens, and here he is. Thank you, Lord Jesus. And he was saying, the fact that they even waited so long to talk about their expectations or what they were going to be doing as far as boundaries are concerned, especially where sex is concerned, right? Until months after talking or dating. And then for the guy to be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, was heartbreaking for her because now she was mad at God. That's what he was saying. Like, she's now mad at, hi, Crystal. She's now mad at God, saying, why then is, hold on, y'all, my light went out. So why then is, why then am I praying to God, like, hey, do this for me, or give this to me. Let me clean up my thing now because it looks like it's hazy. But yeah, like, why then am I praying to God that God delivers on my prayers, and I turn around and he folds on me? You know what I'm saying? So I'm bringing Chris back on because that goes into my question that I had for him. Was it yesterday? There goes my guy. You're so much clear. You're clear, man. I can see you. You know what I'm saying? You look nice, But yeah, so Stephen was just saying that she didn't take it back to God, that she didn't confirm with God. She just went off of her instincts and thought that this man was the one. And it took for them to talk about what they weren't going to do for her to see that he was not the one. And so, yeah. Chris, what do you think about that? Because I know that, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday we were talking about the one. Or even the start of that conversation was, what did I say? Oh, I saw something on Twitter where they said, what is name something that you used to think was attractive, attractive, and now you see it as a warning. And for me, that thing is somebody being totally obsessed with me. Um, yeah, that gives me the ick. And, and I'm not saying that just because I'm saying that. Like, I've been through some things. Hey, Clay. I've been through some things that made me see things from a totally different perspective. And Chris was just saying in the comments, like, yeah, where that's rooted in, like people who are obsessed. And I'll let Chris speak for himself, but he was just saying where that stems from, and that's how we kind of got on the one. So Chris, start if you will there. Like, what was your response to me saying about those who are obsessed with you?
I think the obsession aspect, I believe should be rooted in, like I said before, as far as the assignment, right? So if we are purpose driven, if I'm purpose driven, let's say I believe that this individual is the one, then I look at it the same way that I believe that God was challenging Abraham with Isaac. If it is the one, that's fine. But the fact of it being the one doesn't negate that I am the one, which is God, that presented or gave this to you. So if the one is causing you to come outside of my will and cause you to be disobedient, right? So for instance, like you was just saying, from you're purpose driven. So regardless if this guy is meant to be your husband or not, the boundaries have to be stated up front that there are certain things that we're not going to indulge in, regardless if you are him or not. And I believe when people cannot respect that, because they can still be the one and still, let's say, expect it or not want to deal with that or whatever the case is, then my question is, or my thing is, what I believe what God has led us to, which is what I was trying to say on the post when we said it yesterday, was I'm willing to let you go, to hold on. I'm ready to let the gift go, to hold on to the gift giver, to hold on to the moral and the principles and the obedience to the gift giver, because he can send me another. So for me, if I'm called to love you like Christ loved the church, then I'm willing to sacrifice my own will and my own purpose, even if the church don't choose me. Just like God did with Hosea. God had Hosea marry a whore. And she continued to run back to the streets. And he kept telling Hosea, go back and get her. And even though she was having children outside, but go back and get her.
But that was about God showing through their marriage how filthy we are, and how he still loves and accepts and wants
what I'm saying is, I can love you in spite of you being with me or in the streets. And that's when I believe that, because if God said it, then it's going to happen regardless, right? I don't have to be manipulative and make something happen if God said it. So I don't have to turn into Sarah and bring another woman into my bedroom when God told me that my husband was going to be father of many nations.
Basically saying, like, I don't have to try to control I don't have to try to control the narrative or the outcome.
All I have to do is seek God and hold on to his principles, to hold on to his word, be obedient to him. it's going to fall in place. And if it doesn't fall in place, then that means it's either not time, because it's all in his timing, like we talked about last week. So for me, even if you are the one, I'll love you if you marry someone else. Because
yeah, that wouldn't work for somebody who's obsessed.
Exactly. So now, if I'm obsessed with you, I can be persistent without being obsessed. That's what I'm saying. Because if someone
Yeah,
is
that's what you
obsessed,
said yesterday, and I was like, okay, I was trying to understand that.
yeah, so
Not
I can
not
be
being funny. I understand
persistent.
that there's a different attachment to it. I get what you were saying.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So I can be persistent by showing you, look, I believe that you are supposed to be with me, but hey, if that's not what you believe, I can release you in love and allow you to do whatever it is that you have to do.
so
Or you
then are
feel
you
like
still
you
being
should.
persistent then? You get what I'm saying?
I
Like,
believe
because
so.
if
And
you are
because
able
my
to release,
because the Bible says the fervent prayers of the righteous, right? So the fervent prayers is pretty much persistent. It's
so
consistent.
your persistence isn't necessarily an action, it's in prayer.
Which is an action. It's just the fact that it's not what we culturally do. What we feel like persistent is, I got to show up to the front step. I got to send this. I got to do this. No, I don't got to do all that.
You're going to God for God to change the mind.
And I don't have to ask him to change her mind. Continue to change mine. Give me the patience. If this is what I'm supposed to do, then give me the patience to wait.
Ooh.
Because you don't get what you pray for, you get what you're willing to wait for. All throughout the book, all throughout the Bible, everybody had to have a season of waiting. And see, when you're obsessive, you can't wait.
At all.
You don't have
Or
the will
even if
or
they
the
have the
ability.
mindset that they're waiting, this is what I'd say to what you just said, which made me say, ooh, you're saying to change my mind, like to give me basically the strength to wait. Those who
Wait,
are obsessed, what they feel is that
I gotta have it now.
and I'm going to in some way mess up. I'm going to try my best to sabotage whatever it is you have going on
Yes.
to keep or to revert your attention back to me, whether and they don't care if it's good or bad attention. You get what I'm saying? Like at the root of it all, hey, Ashton, at the root of it all, their intent is to change your mind, not to change
and not
their
theirs.
mind to wait.
And not theirs.
Yeah, that's
See,
why I said,
because this is the
ooh,
thing. Anything that God gives you is not for like
hey Michelle.
it's for me to change how I am, to change my ways. My name got to change. And it said, and like you said, it's for me to go into prayer and have the strength to wait, because it said those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength, shall mount up like wings of eagle. But we oftentimes can't, because we're obsessed with, I have to have what I want when I gotta have it now. And
And
that's
nobody
where,
else can have you.
and nobody else can.
That's the scary part.
Nobody else can. And that's where a lot of that's where the obsession and the issues come in at, without realizing a lot of us are obsessed because we're obsessed with our own whatever. We feel like if it's mine, this is mine. And that's just it. And ain't nobody else. You know, me and my son, mom, we're in a much better place now. But a lot of things came from her obsession because it was her son. She gave birth to him, right? And so for her, just the idea of knowing that he might love me just as much as he loved her, she was not, if she see this, whatever, but she knows. She might be cool with it now, but at that time, she was not all right with that.
Right.
And I know she wouldn't, because I could tell. I could see how she would, you know what I'm saying? And then even opposite, when me and her was trying to make it work, and even with me and how I would show love to him, it slightly bothered her because she felt like I wasn't doing that with her.
Right. You were taking away from the affection from her. He was taking away.
Right. So when
even
people
that's
that are
scary.
overly obsessive, anything, that's why they got to get you by themselves. That's why they got to get you. They try to destroy every relationship that you have. They have to tell you about everybody that's around you that's not this, that's not that. That the church even does it. That's what the church does. That's why, I'm going to be honest with you, the church even carries a spirit of obsession and dominance, because that's the reason why they don't want you to visit other places.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want you to visit other churches. They don't want you to visit other, and they're saying that it's about being protected, but it ain't about protection.
No, they
It's
want
about
control
control.
over your mind.
No, it's about control.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first thing that they're concerned and worried about is someone taking a member from my church. And I'll be sitting around, and I'm not a pastor, but at the same time, I've been around pastors my whole life. So I get it on one hand, because you are overly concerned with because sometimes listening to too many pastors, too many people teach different things and different doctrines. So I'm not saying I don't get it, but if you are properly growing and preparing your children, they can go and hear whatever it is that they hear.
Anywhere.
They gonna know what is and what ain't. Now, if you ain't properly preparing them, and they go over there to somebody else's house, and somebody's able to catch on or whatever the case. But even if God called them to somewhere else, most pastors would rebuke that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they will. They will rebuke.
That's crazy.
And they would accuse the other pastor of stealing. I ain't gonna say no names, but I've literally known pastors. My mom told me this story of where a member, one of his deacons, one of his main members left because another pastor pretty much offered him a position to be in a higher position. So he left and went to another church. And that pastor told the other pastor, like, don't call me to come to your church ever again. Take me off of your calendar. I will never fellowship with you again. Pretty much, yeah, like all that. So yeah, it's the same.
It's almost as if you're property and not a person, and
right.
That's very
and that's
scary.
So that obsessive spirit, that's how it treats you. It treats you as if
property.
As property, not as an individual with a mind of their own. No, you're my property. You belong to me. And we have encouraged that in a lot of ways because we have tried to say that that's what love is. We have made it. Or if you look at all of these movies, and I always say, people be talking that noise about, like, that movie. What's that movie with Sanaa Lathan and that light-skinned dude? All the women, like, he played crazy in every movie. He was laying up under the bed. He became obsessed with her. He became obsessed. Well, anyways,
I'm trying to think about the movie, but I can't
remember the name. I think the other guy or something like that. But anyways, she was with Morris Chestnut. Her husband, the dude she was with, did not want children. He wanted to be with her. But this was something they agreed to early on. I think it was marriage too. But he was like, "Why we can't just stay like this? I don't want to be with nobody else. I want to be with you. I'm completely committed with you. We talked about this at the beginning of the relationship. You agreed to all of it. I don't want what my parents had because my parents were miserable." That was just his story. I'm not saying I agree with him or whatever the case is, but she knew it before she got into the relationship. Well, anyway, she got out of the relationship because she wanted to have children. She wanted this, that. So then she got with somebody that was telling her that he wanted to do all of these things, which he did. And she's seen him beat the brakes off of somebody for just speaking to, like, for barely to or whatever. And she tried to leave him, and he was obsessed. Next thing you know, he's stalking her. He's put, you know what I'm saying? So we think in our minds that kind of feeds our ego in a lot of ways when someone like desires us and wants us like that. But at the same time, there's a dark side to that.
I remember, go ahead, and then I want to share.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, right, like, that's why I said I'm speaking from experience, because I remember being that girl that was like, yeah, I need my man obsessed with me. I need my man to be all over me, all about me, for me, like, and it was this sense of security in a sense, like, hello, Jimmy. I felt like if he was obsessed with me, then
he'll never leave.
Right. There's this safety net, like he's never going anywhere, right? Yeah. And so that it backfired, right? Like it backfired. But in my immaturity, it used to feed my ego. It was definitely like, yeah, you're not going nowhere. Mm-hmm. You're not going nowhere. And it wasn't until I tried to break that off with this person, and this is, I would say, and I saw this post today that was like, what's your thing, right? Like, everybody expose themselves. What is your thing? My thing is that I can be very detached and, like, quickly, like, I can detach. very quickly. But I can also, there's two extremes. There's polarities to everything, right? So I feel like the darker side to that is I can be clingy. So I can be either or. I just have to find that healthy balance between. So this person was feeding that lower part of me that can be clingy until I really got to see what clingy looked like. Like, you think that you are the pinnacle of something until you meet somebody that's like 2 times you. And when I try to let this person go and say detach, and for me that can happen like this. And the obsession was scary, and I mean, like, in a scary way, to where, I mean, all the red flags were there, where they tried to take me away from family, you know what I'm saying, kind of demonize my friendships. I could not do anything without this person. Like, when I say I couldn't do anything without this person, I couldn't do anything without, it's like as if anyways, they were in my panties with me if they could be. You understand? It's like they wanted to be my second skin. I couldn't do anything without this person. And they also made me feel as if like my beauty was my fault, or like how people would perceive me was my fault. And so that's kept us just all the time. But anyways, when it came down to trying to break away from this person, that person was very much so like, you can't be with anybody else because you're mine, and I will hurt you for it.
Yeah.
And he tried to hurt me.
Yeah.
And so, even years after, this person still, it's like, you don't think we've been through enough? You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have the mindset to,
Well,
they have tunnel vision.
It's pride, though. So, because at this point, when it's rooted in pride, it's all about me. It's not about you no more. It ain't about that. Like, at that point, when it really comes down to it, like you said, when people start trying to separate you from your family and friends, it's all about them. Like every relationship, and I've been terrible at relationships, so I'm not saying this like I've been good, because I haven't been, and I don't know why. Well, I understand some things why, but I mean, they just haven't worked out, for whatever reason. But every woman I've ever talked with, always, one of the main things that they used to sing my praises for was because I encourage you to spend time with your friends. Spend time. Matter of fact, I want to spend time with your friends and family too, because I always feel like I can learn just as much about you from them as I can with you. So I always wanted to know and get to know the people that you were close with and close to. And even if I didn't necessarily cut for them, even if I felt some type of way about them, I never, not one time, encourage someone to disassociate themselves from someone. I didn't. And because I know and understand the importance of having other outlets, even if I feel like it ain't that healthy, it's still an outlet. And because I wanted to let it be known, this ain't about me. I want what's best for you. And therefore, I can give you my opinion. I can give you some advice. But bottom line is, it is your decision. I'm not going to tell you who you can and can't hang with. I'm not going to tell you what family member is this and what family. I'm not doing all of that. But to me, oftentimes when people do it, they do it and try to call it protection.
Yes.
And making it like I'm trying to look out for you. No, you looking out for yourself.
Yeah.
That's what this is really about. Because you want to be the only person. If you feel like someone else has a hold of my ear that might not always be in agreement with you on something, I'm coming against that. I have to attack that, because they at some point might see something in me or see something that I do. I got you brainwashed, but I can't brainwash you.
Exactly.
So
it's harder to fight that.
You.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't been through that on different ways. As far as from, I ain't gonna go into all of that because I'm on live.
Hi, Mark Anthony.
But it's I've seen that in a lot of different ways, and to me, because that's what the enemy does too. The enemy, when he was able to seduce Eve, Adam was there, but Adam was silent, and getting as soon as he caught her by herself, he planted that seed, and by the time Adam even was there, because it said Adam obviously was standing right there at the point where she was able to hand him the fruit. But he wants us by ourselves, because
Right,
that's
isolated.
when we go to our darkest places and when we're isolated. So you know, that's when that real spiritual warfare, the real prayer, all these things have to be able to come in and kick in. But oftentimes it's easier to rely on something that feels more tangible. So me knowing that you are obsessed with me, or that's more tangible for me to be able to feel like I'm in control.
It also
Until
it also pulls at the desire that we have to be needed. Like every
yeah,
person feels, people can lie all they want to, right? Like we have a desire to be needed in some way.
yes,
And even when you were speaking about like your child, the mother of your child, right? Like fact of the matter is, even when you're dealing with the child, mother child or father child situation, it's because if they feel that that child is going to grow to need you more, it
so
kind of takes
yeah,
away from,
it invalidates
it
me.
invalidates, yes,
And
yes,
because that's what everything is based about, as far as like people, we value one another based off of how much we are needed or
yes,
desired. And
exactly.
and that's what oftentimes what we based off in, because of the culture that we live in, everything is so over hypersexualized. The root of most desires is from that aspect, right? Like, I gotta have it. I need to
Yes.
have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how I've heard that like some women have even climaxed from being raped, right? And so there's some form of almost enjoyment with
I
it.
mean, I think that's just biological, though. Am I
No,
wrong?
I know. I'm not saying it's not biological, but then at the same time, when I sit and I know some, and she might be watching, I know some people, like girls, that whole dominatrix stuff, getting beat and being wrapped and tied up and all of that.
BDSM.
Yeah,
I think
like, I
it's just
mean,
called BDSM.
what does that look like when I
S&M.
look at it?
S&M is what it's called.
Yeah, when I look at that stuff, or when I hear it or whatever, and I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to be desensitive to the whole, the rape thing, and not trying to make it like that's not a terrible thing. But I'm saying, where some people, you know what I'm saying, like they become. I'm not saying that they did that for that, but when I see someone tied up, gagged, being choked almost to death, and climaxing from that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
That's
something.
trauma. Like, and you, to what you think of as trauma, like that's traumatic.
That's the
Like
way, and they
who
view
can
it how
be
they view it.
turned
I'm
on
not
by
I'm
that?
not judging. Please, I hope don't nobody think I'm not judging anyone or anything. I'm just using it as a reference, as far as where to think or believe, because like serial killers and all these people, they get the most fan mail from all these women, from all these people. Like, it's like crazy, but it's like it's something about it that makes it exciting.
The control aspect. And you
It's
think about
something about it.
the book or the series 50 Shades of Grey. Like that book, that whole movie. I mean, obviously I read the book before it was a movie, but when it became a movie, that bestseller. You understand? Like
I
the
never
whole,
even
like
watched it. I've seen the movie.
it's S&M basically. And I say S&M, but like, yeah, it's rooted in S&M. And the guy, Christian was his name, he had a rough childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like his mama used to abuse him. She would put her cigarettes out in him and stuff like that. And so he had this older lady introduce him to S&M, but it was really for him to learn, say, emotional regulation and self-control. And he was still looking for this mother. So this older woman pulled at that need, that desire for a mother figure. And again, it taught him in a freakish way self-control. So I mean, the whole series is literally about how he's a control fanatic, but it's also rooted in S&M and
Yeah.
trauma,
And most of us, we desire to be in control or
or
to
to be
be
controlled.
controlled. So it's like these extremes, because even to be controlled, we feel like we in some. I don't. It's all. But bottom line is, to me, I'm not gonna call. It's just not for me in no type of way. And I'm not just talking about from a sexual aspect. I'm talking about even from a mental aspect. So for me, when people say, yeah, you know, like if I'm getting married, if she don't start crying or he don't start fall out of it, like I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying it's something. I'm not knocking anybody that do. There's nothing wrong with being excited, but I do not. I'm not going to sit here and say that you love me based off of how obsessed you are with me.
Yeah.
Because I've seen how that love can turn into, just as much as you love someone, they'll hate you just as much. The same people that was screaming Hosanna, Hosanna, were the same people that was screaming crucify him. Like it goes from one extreme to the next.
Polarities, yeah.
And so I tell people all the time, man, for me, I don't need, like, that don't do nothing. When I've dealt with women, I'm like, that, I hear you. And I'm not gonna sit and act like I don't appreciate it, but at the same time, I'm not impressed by it. Because I know that you trying, a lot of times that's rooted in you trying to impress me, and it's not effective, because there's a difference between being impressive and being effective. And a lot of that stuff is not effective with me because I ain't gonna lie, I really ain't even asking for all that.
Right.
I really don't even want all that, because I know what comes with all of that. Because as soon as it don't go the way that you want it to go,
you going crazy.
You ready to flip out, that's where you gonna go with it. So like, nah, I'd rather you keep that. Keep whatever it is that you want to do. I don't need you to do nothing that you don't want to do. That feel like you have to do it because no, we ain't doing that. Like, we can have a discussion. I can tell you what I do and don't like, my do's and don'ts. You tell me yours. Let's try to make that work and understand one another.
Right.
But when sex get involved, like all that stuff, when all these different things get involved, oftentimes that's where the control, the obsession, all of these things come into play, you know.
And when those things happen before you even get to having a conversation, like, just to go back to the example that the Stephen Speaks guy was saying, like, the fact of the matter was they didn't talk about boundaries until how many dates into the situation. Now y'all are finally talking about sex. It's like, how could you possibly be spending? How were you spending time? Like, what kind of conversations were you really having? That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Well, most people assume that because you talking, you communicating, and it's not. Just because people are making sounds toward one another and nodding their head, don't mean that they understand absolutely anything that's being said or being told. So it's a lack of, the Bible says, and all that get an understanding. And it says, so come and let us reason with one another. We have no understanding. There's no real voice of reasoning. That's why if you go to court, divorce court, child support, all these courts are so messy because we don't have the inability to reason with one another. But yet it started off, they were so in love. Right. And it's like, well, in love with what? Because to me, if you love me and I love you, then how are we able to do some of this stuff that we've done? Some of the stuff that people said about me after a breakup, I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like, seriously?
You kept this in all this time?
Like, you said, like what? Now, like I said, whatever part that I played or I've said, whatever. But like I always tell people, anything that I said after what I said before.
Yeah, I can say it twice.
And I'll say it again. And I'll say it more than once. And it's probably something that I've tried to talk to you about and tried to explain to you.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's hard for anyone to take correction. That's another thing with being obsessive. They can't handle being corrected.
I feel like they're interested in spending time. Like, so even we get confused with spending time. We think, okay, just because I'm up under this person, like you said, being effective, right? So just because I'm spending all this time with this person doesn't mean I'm necessarily getting to know this person. Because how are you spending said time? If y'all are doing things all the time and everything else it's like, you don't have the ability to be with each other in silence or to be just you two having dialect and dialogue, then spending time isn't even effective because y'all are really just taking up space. You
There's
know what I'm
that.
saying?
There's Daniels made a comment in one of his messages. He said, "I'm never impressed when couples come to me and tell me how much time they've been together before they got like marriage counseling." He's like, "I'm never impressed." He said,
I
he
try.
said, "I always ask them, how many seasons have y'all seen each other in? Have you seen him with no money? Have you seen him with money? Have you seen him lose a family or a friend? Have you seen him in some of his worst days? Have you seen him go through these different, have you seen her go through
Right.
these different seasons? Because if you've only seen her in this particular season and not the other, then you don't know what you
You
can
don't know.
cannot deal with or handle when it comes to this person.
Exactly.
Because seasons are going to change. It ain't no way around it. And I know for myself, I never managed other people's seasons well at all. I just did not.
Mm.
I didn't manage their seasons well. And sometimes their seasons were manifested because of plant of seeds that I sowed.
Mm.
And I had to, and it takes time as for, well, not time, it takes time with God for you to sometimes see and that's why I had to start apologizing, even though what grew, I didn't grow it, but I definitely planted the seed.
Right.
And so I have to play that part. Or if that seed was already there, I watered it. You know what I'm saying?
And
So
karma is just gonna come back for you regardless.
one way or the other, I had to deal with it, but I wasn't able to handle these different seasons. And so for me, now I'm like, okay, you can't be selfish, but at the same time, what season are you in?
Yes.
And if I'm not in the right season to be dealing with someone, bringing someone into whatever season I'm in, and I don't think they are, I don't know if they are or ain't prepared, but I have to be prepared to be able to even bring someone along with me in that
Yes.
said season. And so, but when we just don't want to be alone, when we
Yes.
just want someone or want something, oftentimes that's where things get swayed, things come into play, and at the same time is when we mishandle, we fumble, we don't handle things properly.
That word fumble, for sure. Because again, in those times, because we are so anxious to be in relationship, we think about spending more time, less communicating, but more time. Because if we're communicating, then we're gonna have those difficult conversations. We're gonna talk about where we are right now. And I say that with a mature mind because I understand too that you could be talking to somebody, but not a lot of people are interested in having difficult conversations. People aren't really okay with, hi Shalencia, people aren't really okay with discussing truths, and it's obviously too because we fear judgment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want this person to know, and I keep saying this, I don't want this person to know that I'm dealing with this, or I don't want this person to know that I'm in this season. And so we'll avoid those conversations and just have these spicy conversations. So we'll talk about these surface level, hi Ty, we'll talk about these surface level, scenarios of how was your day? Oh, my day was this. It's like, it's just bare minimum, and we're breadcrumbing, and the way that we typically make up for that is by doing things. So whether that is being intimate, whether that is spending money on each other, and I say that by like going on dates and all these other things, it's like you're still not really getting to know that person, and or to
Getting
see
to know what that person does and not what that person or who that person is.
is
And,
exactly.
and most people, when they look at you as an object, which why they're so obsessive, they don't see you as a person. You're
They see
just
you as a thing,
something that is playing a part
a
in my
trophy.
life. And so therefore who you are really is not even that important.
Yeah. A lot
Only
of people
what
are
you
in
do.
love with the idea of you and not necessarily with you.
That's why when you see somebody else playing with your toy or doing what that's why you can't handle it.
You go crazy.
Because if it was about the person, you would want to see this person
Happy regardless.
happy regardless if it's with you or not.
If you really cared about the
If you
person.
really cared about the person, but if you only care about what they're able to do
For you.
for you,
For
then
you.
that's the only thing that you're concerned about. And
Yeah.
so now all you sitting there and driving you crazy is the idea of what he or she is doing to somebody else.
With whoever else. And you know, the other aspect to that, right, we're talking about what they're doing for you. That pride aspect is that I find people that are obsessed is typically because of the attention that they get because they have you. It's like,
Yes.
you know, just the idea that you dealt with, it's clout. It's clout. It's clout. So for them not to have you, they feel that it diminishes their value. People
Yeah.
aren't looking at them a certain way.
Yeah.
And this, and I say this because this person said this to me, like, women don't be looking at me unless I'm with you. You know,
Yeah.
she's only interested in me because she see me with you. You know, it's like,
And that's
okay.
real though.
And I've heard that several times.
I'm telling you, I know for a fact that it's real. I used to tell, that was part of my game back in the day. I used to purposely show, oh yeah, yeah. That's why I have so many homegirls. I got close with a lot of my homegirls because I would show up purposely to spots and to places, and they'd be like, why he got all these, why he went over there with the girl? He ain't, is he gay? No, he ain't. Well, and it made them inquisitive. It would literally break down the barrier of, if it's me and a group of guys, right? We might be desired as a group of guys, but if I walk in and I got girls with me, their defense is automatic because now they're wanting to compete with the women I'm with anyway.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
they're looking to compete with them, and they are letting their guard down. Oh,
yeah.
Oh man. Ain't no,
y'all, Chris just told y'all the game. If y'all, any men who are listening,
ain't no man. Oh, I got my friends.
Don't do that, by the way.
My friends back in their day was hell on wheels, but none of them can compare with a woman having a homegirl like that. They get you in the door with whoever because they'll go and talk for you.
Wow.
The only thing is, typically it didn't happen with me, but most of the time, you know, the guy I ended up sleeping with said woman that he, you know, whatever, because she gonna get just as curious too. I never crossed that line with none of my homegirls. And but because I knew that if I did, then it's gonna mess up.
Then you wouldn't be able to do that anymore.
But most guys don't have the control. Most guys don't have the control not to. So yeah, but nah,
That's crazy.
Women attractive women attract women. Don't nothing attract women like other women. But like you said, it becomes part of the obsession because now I don't want you, but I need you because I my pride, but at the same time, I don't hold the same clout or the same weight if I ain't got you.
When I'm not,
and it's all based off of what you're trying to accomplish. Because like obviously, I ain't faithful. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm faithful, but why am I faithful?
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, it sounded like this dude was saying. It don't sound like he was faithful.
No, he was faithful, all right. I mean, he was literally, I told you, I say dude can't, you know what I'm saying?
So why would other women even come into the conversation?
Well, because he would, whenever we would go places, you know what I'm saying? And I would see other women like looking at him, and I'd be like, she checking you out. And he'd be like, yeah, but they only check me out because I'm with you.
I thought it came up like you dealing with somebody. Oh, she only dealing with me because I'm dealing with you. Oh, okay.
No. But it would happen so often, and I say it would happen so often to where I finally said something, you know. So it was like, wait a minute, like these women really be on you, and he was like, yeah, no, it's really only when I'm with you, because when I'm by myself, they ain't even paying me no mind, and. Yeah, I just felt like it was clout after, you know, obviously coming out of that whole situation.
Well, that's part of it. That's part of it, right? But it's a lot of it is that because when I only see you as an object and I see you, you know, your value is only based off of what you can and can't do for me. That's why this dating pool is so perverted, it's so polluted because everything is based off of what the other person can or can't do for each other. Everything, the whole relationship is not based off of who we are to one another. It's based off of what we can or cannot do for one another. And that's the reason why.
And also what we feel like we can be with it. I do want to adjust that because You're saying that it's either or. Say that again. Say that it's based off of what we can do for one another, and not what?
Not who we are to one another.
So I feel like that second part is also a part of that too.
What you mean?
Okay, so I can't say that name. But hi, Miss Walker. um, I feel like a part of that clout is sometimes we get this idea, like say for instance, you're with this person who's very driven, you know what I'm saying? And you can see that this person is purpose driven. They're going somewhere. They have an idea for their lives. They're just, tunnel vision, whatever. I feel like this person showed me that, like, fall in love with the idea of who I could have been with this person. Like, if I would have had this person with me, I'd be here too. So
Yeah,
it's not just what they're doing for me, but also who I would have been with them. Does that make sense?
it makes sense, but the only thing, I'm still not that person. See, I'm not him unless I'm him. But now, if I'm only him because I'm with her, then really
Then
I'm
I'm
not
not
him.
him.
So I'm only able to wear the mask of him. And wearing the mask, that's just me being able to do it.
Yeah, on account
So
of you.
oftentimes we're able to do stuff that we don't know how to be. Because see,
Only for so long.
If you're a leader, you're gonna lead no matter what the circle is. Doesn't matter who you're around, it doesn't matter what you're around, you're gonna find a way to be useful. Because you're gonna find a way. So that's why somebody said, if they took the money right now in the world or in wherever, and they equally distributed it to everybody in the world, they say within 10 years, the same people that are millionaires and billionaires now will be millionaires and billionaires again.
It's a mindset.
Because they know what to do. They know how to, they know. So a lot of times, and all of us that want to look rich will still spend our money on trying to look rich
instead of being rich.
And
looking
so
poor.
we be doing things that we don't be being.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if who I am is because of this, whoever it is that I'm attached to, then I really ain't that.
Yeah. That makes me think about the conversation that I think you and I first had, like this bump of heads, because I said that when you hold light, you have to be mindful and you have to be protective of that. And I learned that, like, whenever we would go places, and this is not just for this person, but this is just in general, whenever we would go places, things would just kind of like happen, you know what I'm saying? Or life just seemed to be very seamless for me. And anybody that's been attached to me or connected to me in any way, that they've also shared in that benefit. And where men are concerned, I learned early, like, you have to protect that, because then they'll only want you for what you can do for them, or the benefits that they receive from just being in your presence, but still not being that for themselves, right? Like,
because they ain't properly learned it. They only learn how to. I'm only sticking my tongue out like Jordan to look like Jordan. And if you put me, but the thing is, if you put me in the right setting, I can really look like Jordan. Put me around a group of guys that can't play. Yeah,
I'm gonna look like Jordan. Yeah.
I look like Mike.
Yeah.
But then, as I begin to elevate, move to another level, or another level, or another level, then you get brought back down to reality.
Yeah.
So you can only wear your mask for so long.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I tell people all the time, like, I tell people, now that don't mean that people can't help jumpstart you learning to be who you are to be. I believe that the Bible says that a sanctified wife can sanctify her husband, or sanctify that wife. So I'm not saying that, but my son was a jumpstart that helped me change my life around.
Yeah, I get that.
But if something happened to my son tonight, I would be devastated.
Right.
But I ain't going back to who I was.
Right.
Because I am transformed. So when you are true, when you really put on that new, when you really put on that old former things are passed away, behold, all things become new. You are a new creature.
Right.
But oftentimes and so that's the purpose of a marriage or what, like people can help jumpstart that.
Yeah, I get that.
But that's really
it's not mine.
other than
It's
that.
not yours. It's not
Yeah,
yours
other
for the
than that,
taking.
whatever it is that you do or don't have or doing or not doing, are you able to do that without? Because if you can't do it without,
then it ain't.
You really ain't that guy. You might have learned some stuff. You might have some accomplishments. You might have some stuff that you've obtained. And I'm not saying that you won't know how to manage it or that you're going to lose it all.
Right.
But you're really not that guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're really you was just a guy with the guy.
Right.
Or with the girl. So you know, and that's a hard reality for most people because they spend so much time chasing after trying to be someone that they're not.
Right.
Or
chasing after that person that they feel like will make them who they want to be instead of then we're gonna take it to Christ, but instead of going to Christ.
The real reality should be that, let's just say, because we was talking about obsession and talking about being with someone and people using you for whatever the case is. Well, this person was here for however long was to help show me something about I always ask God, what are you trying to show me in this situation? Right. Reveal yourself to me. Increase my faith. That way I'm able to see and believe or hear and believe and know that this is what you are trying to show me about me. Forget them.
Right. What
are you wanting to show me about me?
Right.
And like when I went into business with my friends and my brother, and me and my brother fell out, and me and my friends and all that, like and I started realizing, like, man, I'm not a CEO.
Okay. Great realization.
I don't have a mind for it. I don't have that. I'm not a CEO. I'm a pastor. That's what God has called me to. So regardless of what my friend has, regardless of what I ain't gonna be jealous of nothing that they got. Because if God never gives it to me, I was able to sit and be a witness to with them. But I know what he has called me to.
Right.
And so once I know and understand who I am, now I am content whatever it is that he sent me because I know it's all a tool. So whether it seems good or bad, I know that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord according to his will and his purpose in my life. So therefore, I don't have to be rich to be effective.
Right.
I don't have to be impressive to be effective. I don't have to be a CEO to be effective. I don't have to be, because I realize I ain't gonna never own or be the CEO of a business, but you know what? I might be able to help people learn or figure out that they are CEOs and help them start and kickstart and grow their businesses.
Right. So what I'm hearing is that it's because you found purpose, right? Like, because when you do have purpose, you now have your focal point. You have that alignment to where even if you are dealing with somebody or somebody comes into your trajectory, it's still in alignment. You're still focused on the goal, the main goal, the end goal. So that's why, and it brings me back to the same thing, because I asked you, I said, so is it then important for us to be obsessed with the mission? So be obsessed with the assignment, because if you're obsessed with
always be about the assignment.
Well, and I said that, and you was like, well, obsession is never really good, and under any circumstance, we should be obsessed with Christ.
But I'm saying, but the assignment is going to be attached to Christ. So if I'm seeking God,
well, that's what I was thinking.
So you know what? Yes, I do have to take that back. I do have to take that back. You cannot, because Hitler was obsessed with his assignment. So I have to kind of take that back. Let me revamp. And you're right. You're right. No, I should always be obsessed with God and the assignment that he has given me.
But
because
that is the assignment.
well, the assignment
you're
that
just saying the same thing.
Right, but the assignment that he's giving me, number one, is to seek ye first the kingdom of God. He told me to spread the gospel. So therefore, if whatever it is that I am or ain't doing is not to spread his word and his news, because I cannot because another thing, because I guess maybe because I don't want to, because some pastors, I'm gonna use pastors, right? They get so caught off into their preaching assignments, their pastoring, that there's a lot of PKs that resent the church because they felt like the church took their dad from them. The church took their mom from them. So what I'm saying is, if the assignment is me to start ministry, right? To start a church is a ministry. But I still have to know that ministry is my assignment, and my first ministry is my family. Charity starts at home. So my first ministry is my obedience to God, family, and then where God is leading to and taking me to. Because he gave my family first. That's what he gave me to cover, period. And so we have to understand order. And so that's why I said I have to kind of pull back from saying that I might have misspoke a bit, which I'm not saying that the assignment is not important, but I have to be obsessed with chasing after God and his goodness. And then he will be able to tell me what is and what ain't important in certain moments. When it's time for me to leave my family, maybe for a month, to go and evangelize and to go do this and that. And then when it's a time for me to take a sabbatical from all of it and just spend time with my wife, spend time with my children, and then just spending time with him.
Yeah.
Because
okay, so I get what you're saying.
The Bible says that Christ oftentimes found himself in lonely places. And these lonely places was where he went and spent time with the Father. And then sometimes he would spend time with particular disciples. And then other times he would spend time with all the disciples. And then there were other times when he spent time with no disciples. And then there were other times when he was ministering and he was talking to multitudes. So
the assignment was different. I would say the assignment was different, but yeah, like the
moment of the assignment, because ministry is the assignment. But ministry as far as serving God and his purpose and his will in our life. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I said I don't want to. Let me
recap a little bit.
Because Hitler was focused, he was driven, and he was obsessed with his assignment.
Well, so that's why, okay, for the person that is obsessed, I feel like their obsession lies in that the person is their assignment, right? Instead of, say, the mission, right? The purpose. That's why purpose is so important, because without said purpose, now you are their assignment.
How do you find purpose?
That's why I said you got to go to Christ. You got to go to God.
So if you're chasing after him, then he is going to lead you and guide you. So that's why I say if I'm chasing after him, all these other things will be added on.
They'll be added. Yeah.
But most of the time, we take the additives. We take the stuff that's just supposed to be the icing, the wrapping, all of that. We start chasing after that because of the attention that it brings.
Lord.
Because of that part of it. Because of people are oftentimes not impressed with what's in the box. They're impressed with how it's wrapped.
Right. That's why I say that people often they're in love with the idea of you, not necessarily even you, because to this day, I can honestly say, like, I wasn't even vulnerable with myself to be, vulnerable enough with myself to be vulnerable with that person, for that person to be in love with me. That person, I still to this day feel like, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't me. Like, it wasn't my soul that they were in love with. They were in love with my shell. And on another level, that's the possessive nature. It's like, because you do see me as an object, you don't see me as a person with feelings and emotions,
I see you as a means to an end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Object, like you said. So
but some people, because oftentimes of rejection that most of us struggle with, abandonment, we are right with that. We settle for being objectified because it's fulfilling a temporary need rooted in a traumatic experience that we've
Yeah.
experienced somewhere in life. So the
Yeah.
trauma of, I don't care if it's a father that, you know, wasn't there, or a boyfriend in 8th, 9th grade that left, or
Right.
whatever it is, these things lead to us
It
having
feeds
this,
that spirit.
that feed that spirit, because we can't handle rejection, because we look at rejection as abandonment. We don't look at it as protection. We look at it
Mm-hmm.
as abandonment, and it triggers something in us. And oftentimes that's what God is trying to reveal to us, but Satan also sees it as well. So while God is trying to reveal himself to us through this, Satan is seeing it as an opportunity for him to swoop in. And now the question comes, what have you been watering in this time of, let's say, where you thought everything was fine and great? What you been watering? And if you ain't been watering the word that you're supposed to be hiding in your heart, then more than likely you're going to follow your feelings and not God's principles.
Well, that also goes back to what I was saying last week, and we were talking about equally yoked relationships when I said that no matter how we look at it, every relationship that we have is triune. So whether you're, and you said God is love, right? So whether God is at the center of that or not, there is someone else a part of that. So when you say watering, or that Satan comes in and sees that as well, it's like, yeah, you're still in a triune relationship. You just have to understand who's at the center. And also to say, well, what are you watering? Or if the word is, you say, have this revelation. I wasn't even in the word, just speaking to this situation, but I wasn't even in the word. I wasn't in church. I wasn't in none of that. So God was far from me. I was far from God. So yeah, I'm feeding my flesh, I'm feeding my desires. And this person, in a sense, played into that trauma of feeling needed and feeling safe, feeling protected. And even so much so to where you become almost like the obsessor, because you feel like, I need to protect this person so this person doesn't leave me, because this person is making me feel as if I have this security blanket. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
One of the most quotes that people need to quit saying is protecting their peace. I say it all the time, and I've heard ministers preach it, mega pastors, all of them, and I would challenge any one of them. What does it mean to protect your peace? Because you are looking at peace as something like what you just said, that you can hold on to. But when I look at peace biblically, the Bible says that peace is a fruit of the Spirit. It says to find peace with all men. So if you have to find it, you have to seek it. It is something that you have to go and produce, because it's a fruit. So peace is not something that you hold on to.
You
It's
can't
something
buy
that
it.
you produce.
Right. It's
And,
it's it's
and, and, and
embodied.
it's something you embody. It's something that you use. But we are not producing it, because fruit drops seeds and it produces after its own kind. So that's the reason why we're not able to produce it. And so now, if we see this particular person as the only place that we feel like we can rest at or be soothed with, or whatever the case is, we trying to hold on to them because I can't produce it with nobody. So you're really not at peace. You're really at, I guess,
Delusion.
like, yeah, you're at a place of, you're telling yourself something. You're really in your, honestly, you in your feelings is what you in. Because just as much as that person is your place of peace right now, that'll be your place of war in 6 months.
Destruction.
It'll be your place of destruction in another month. And that's why the Bible says, Satan, it says he's walking to and fro, seeking who he can devour. Satan can't touch everybody, because the Bible says if we resist the enemy, he shall flee from us. But we ain't resisting them. We land on them. We hold on into them because it feel like peace.
Feels familiar. Oh,
It's
Lord God.
familiar.
Like, I'm like,
That's the
we're
word I was
going
looking
over
for
right now.
earlier. It's not peace that you holding on to. It's familiar.
I'm gonna be a little vulnerable. I'm gonna share something with the viewers that I shared with you. I don't know if you read like what I sent you. Oh Lord Jesus, Holy Spirit, be with me. I had a vision, I had a dream, and I told you it was about the wild grapes. You did a sermon on the wild grapes. And I said that there was a portion of the dream where I was walking through this field with this baby, and I was holding this baby. And the baby told me that, like, hold me closer, like the devil used to. And I said that this was perversion. And I instantly, held the baby closer, but I put a cross, like I held the baby with a cross. To bring them closer to me. So it's kind of like an exorcism, if you will. Uh, and we went into this house, and it was rooted in wild grapes. And those grapes were women, and women who were not acting as their name. Like, they were far removed from who they were. Their name was, righteousness and this and that and the third, but their character resembled something totally different. And this is one of the reasons why. Hello, Kevin. Hello to all the people who are on, like, coming and going. We just been talking, so you guys hop in. I mean, it's obviously over 9, so what I'm saying, vibe with us, whatever the case may be. But this is why names are so important. I used to go by a nickname, and my nickname is Lala, and so I don't go by that name anymore, because when God started to reveal things to me about who I was, one of the main things he reminded me of was what my name meant, what it stood for. And my name literally means the star. So when I'm saying I'm a star, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is truly me embodying who I am, my name. And so, yeah, when you just said that about protecting or like holding on to said peace, or just the idea of
But it's really what's familiar, yeah.
Protect, right, what is familiar, that's truly perversion.
Yeah, it is. Because what's perversion? Perversion is when you take something that's not what it's meant to be used for. So
yeah.
if
It's inverted.
If I use a wrench as a hammer, that's me perverting this wrench. That's what perversion is. So that's why even sexually, the purpose of sex is to make a covenant and procreate. It's to produce families. It's to create communities. It's to build countries. To
Nations.
Nations. That is what the purpose of sex is. But we've perverted it to where we've taken it, and it's something that we only want to fulfill a desire of pleasure, and that's it. Because creating these nations and making these covenants that, it's not to say, because anything that you do for God, you're going to get some enjoyment and some fulfillment out of it. But if you're just trying to abstract the pleasure and run away from the responsibility of it,
right?
That's where the perversion comes in at. And so that's the thing with when you're trying to hold on to something that you're saying is a place of peace. Peace is not a place. Peace
is a place. Peace is a land.
Peace is a fruit.
Peace is a fruit, but peace is a land. And I say it's a land because peace is also heaven. It's a place in our minds that we can go to if you have produced this land. I think about Jerusalem. Jerusalem is literally Jeru and then Salem, which is peaceful and peaceful complete. So it's a place like
the Bible says heaven and earth shall pass away.
And I'm not saying that they won't pass away, but it doesn't mean it's not a place.
Yeah, but that place is not, because if it's rooted in something temporary, then is it really that? Is it a fruit of the spirit?
It's a fruit of the spirit. The earth itself could pass away, but it's still a place.
But that earth is not a fruit of the spirit.
The earth is a spirit itself.
No.
Okay.
We
All
have to
right.
get back on that another
Okay.
time. I
All
don't agree
right.
with that. How is the earth a spirit?
Mother Earth is a spirit.
I don't agree.
Okay.
We have to.
She has consciousness.
That don't make it a spirit.
Anything with consciousness. Whoa! If it has consciousness, is it not a spirit? What is consciousness?
It's being cognizant.
Oh, see, because now this is gonna take us on a whole nother. This is
Yeah,
gonna take us on
but
a whole nother
consciousness,
route.
from
So
my
maybe we should
understanding,
table
I have
this.
no problem learning, but from my understanding, consciousness is like being cognitive or what? That's not.
Consciousness is it's a mind. It's a mind. It's a living thing. Consciousness is a living thing. So if the earth is conscious, and we know the earth is conscious because the earth can bloom, it can grow, it can, and again, it was dark, and now it was void, and now God spoke to the earth, and it's conscious.
Yeah,
It's
but
conscious.
demons are not necessarily conscious, but they're spirits.
So you don't think that demons are conscious? You don't think that they're conscious?
I think a lot of people they're walking blind. I think a lot of people on certain things is like the Walking Dead. So when I think about it's from an aspect to where even being possessed or whatever the case, it's like a Walking Dead. But I don't know. I would have to rethink that.
Shalanika Clues says spirit is a part of you.
Right.
Right. I mean, which is conscious.
Yes, but I feel like you go back to the earth, but I don't see the earth as spirit. I don't. I would have to. I don't see that.
No, I believe that the earth is
Because I don't see heaven as spirit.
You said because what?
I don't see heaven as spirit.
Well, I mean, like I said, I believe that heaven is a place. I feel like a place in our mind, and
Like
we
spirit
can
is
all
eternal.
we can. I'm sorry.
I just feel like spirit is eternal.
What does that have to do with the fact that the earth is a spirit?
Because it's temporary.
Other is awareness, consciousness. So she says, Shalanika says, spirit is a part of you. She said, other is awareness, consciousness, other. So are you saying that spirit is not consciousness?
I don't know.
Because
that's a
consciousness
deep
in a
conversation.
sense is also awareness.
I can't.
We say
I'm
conscious
not.
awareness.
I'm not going to act like I'm equipped in this moment to even.
That's what I say. We can
deep
table this.
dive.
It's okay.
I'm not going to even act like I am because
Yeah, because we're on the metaphysical. So
yeah,
we
I'm
can
not. I'm
table
not
this.
one of them people that go
Deep.
into that. But I have no issue or problem. I give my opinion, but I'm not gonna. I have no problem standing corrected. I'm just saying what I just don't, because when I think of earth, I don't think of earth being spirit. I don't think of even heaven being spirit. I think of it as a tool, as a place that where our bodies have to go back to. It might be a holder. It's going to hold.
I mean, but even so, I mean, again, even that, I dispute that, because you can experience heaven on earth. It's not a place. It's not just an afterlife situation. So if it's something that you can also attain while being aware, that you can attain on earth, then that should obviously let you know that it's a state of consciousness. It's a place that you can go in your mind.
Yeah,
It's
but
a place. It's a place.
Yeah, but I think even the Bible says to think on heavenly things, to think whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, to think on it, to elevate our thoughts, to elevate our minds. So I'm not disagreeing as far as using the label of heavenly, but even with saying that it's heaven on earth or any of that, I'm just saying the Bible says that heaven and earth shall pass away. So
right, but and we know that God is like, in the heaven of heavens. You know what I'm saying?
well,
like there's not just one heaven. There are multiple heavens.
Yes, there's different levels of heaven. So
exactly.
So I that's what I'm saying. That's a moving target in a lot of ways that I'm not necessarily ready to call a spirit.
Okay, we'll table it. We'll come back to it. Saying maybe spirit, soul, and mind make up you. Consciousness. Agreed. I mean, so, but we'll get into all that.
That's my homie though, Shalonika. She's super smart, super smart. She's from the hood.
But yeah, I mean, so all that to say that, yeah, like the whole obsessive the whole obsessive idea and or the fact that sometimes we play into that scenario, I definitely feel like it has a
Because it
lot.
feeds our ego in the moment.
Yeah,
And
it's all about the flesh.
we're not looking to the future. We're not looking to what the possibilities of what more than likely is gonna come from it. We don't see it. And so, but that's one of the things why these particular people, the first thing they try to do is isolate you. And so, but yeah, that whole obsessive spirit is rooted in pride. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, even being shy, most of the stuff we struggle with is pride. Even being shy is being prideful. And so, and it's because it's about you. And
Yeah.
people that everything is about them, all they're concerned about is me, me, me. What
Yes.
someone did to me, how they affected me, what they did to me, how they did to me. Well, what have you done for me? And the whole thing is about them, everything. And that's really immature because that's how children think. That's how our adolescence is. And oftentimes because we don't correct it, because we feed into
We
it,
do the same. Yeah. Yeah.
that's why they grow up to be just like that as well. So
Yeah.
it's hard to recognize up front, because even with that, most people that have the potential to be like that, they bombard you with gifts. I see one thing when
They love
people,
bomb you.
yeah, they love bomb you with all these gifts and all these things. They're making it like because you so special to them, and you sow this and you sow that.
It's to distract you.
It's to distract. Because my thing is, anybody, the first thing that they do is bring up what they have done for you. I'm not saying that is not, but there's some other things at play. Because, and like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm far from it, right? Far, far from it. But in those particular areas, anything that I have done for someone, and I hate when I fall victim to this, the only time I bring it up is when they say something to me. Like they just, that's the only time. And I'm like, hold on. Like, I remember me and my best friend got into it. We didn't got into a bunch of fights. But one big fight we got into, oh man, he lit into me about the stuff that he had done, and I was taking advantage of him. I'm talking about he lit into me. And I was sitting there like, man, because I did mess up in that moment. But then I started thinking, I said, hold on. Man, what about, like I started, like I'm like, the only reason you in the position you in now is because I did this, I let you, I did that, I did.
We start counting favors.
Yeah, so then he was like, well, F you. And I was like, well, man, whatever, whatever. And then it's funny, I always tell it when I tell a story, but like literally like about 15 minutes later, he called me back. He said, man, I am not about to lose my best friend over.
Aww.
And I said, yeah, man, I'm tripping. He said, man, I apologize. It's all good, everything good. And we fought since then, but that was like that was when we was like, that's the only time we ever said, like, I ain't fooling with you.
Right.
And, but the first thing that he did, was he brought up about, which he was right in the moment, because I was definitely wrong, but he brought up everything that he had been doing or did. And I'm like, well, and I didn't think about it at first. And I'm like, well, but that's the first stuff that we do. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like human, because it's taught. We have to find fault. If
It's
something don't go right,
a defense mechanism.
if something don't go right, like I don't know, I know you're not a big football fan, but like right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, my homeboy is the quarterback coach. So people that I'm talking with, they going off about how sorry they are because they lost 2 weeks and it's somebody's fault. This the reason why they ain't winning. He's the reason why. He's the reason. It's the first thing. And I'm like, well, what about the 10 wins? Y'all talking about 2 losses. What about all the wins prior?
Right.
Who was those same people not at fault for the wins that you accusing for the losing?
Right. Right.
It's what we do culturally. So every time, that's why even with justice, if somebody passes or dies or somebody, we need
somebody got to pay for it.
We need that flesh. We need that we need that, what they call it bumper flesh or whatever. Like we need that. Somebody has to,
an eye for an eye.
somebody has to take fault for what it is, how we feel, what we did, what happened, right? And it's just
bad is good in the UA, girl. We so backwards.
do
We
what?
so backwards.
What
She
you
say bad is good in the US.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we so backwards.
Uh,
Like
we,
it's
we do
sad.
we do everything all over the place. But at the same time, I don't think I would want to live anywhere else. Not right now. Not from what I do with them. But at the same time, I don't know to live anywhere else. So
Right.
but I just count it all joy. And bottom line is I think that's why the Bible says he gives us wisdom when we ask for wisdom and spiritual insight and all of these gifts that he's given us as we wait and prepare for his return, that way we are able to recognize the vices of the enemy, the spirit of discernment, the spirit of all of these particular things. So not only can we recognize them, but we're able to deal with them properly. And
So I
also,
wonder, before we leave though, okay, before we leave, I want to touch on, and you can make it a short answer, it doesn't matter. I want to touch on how we know if someone is the one. Canada Dubois, you can't raise your voice, it's against the law, right? And so before we move into that, Shalon, when he was saying like I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, what came to my mind is it's like in a way we still are in the land of the free. We may not be, there's still levels to freedom, you know what I'm saying, but in a certain context we are still in the land of the free. So we ain't gonna complain. We ain't complaining, Lord God. We ain't complaining.
I'll complain. I'm just not. I'm cool with
Things
it.
could be better, but things
Yeah,
could
it
be
could be
better
better,
anywhere.
but I'm not. I'm content.
Yeah. So, okay, the question, because when I asked, the whole obsession conversation took us to, well, the idea of persistence versus obsession. And so if we're taking the healthy route, and the healthy route is I can still be persistent, because this was in response to me saying, you could throw me back in the fish. I mean, you could throw me back in the pond. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of fish in the sea. And your response was, but that doesn't mean though the other fishes are your fish.
You're right.
Okay. So that brings us to, well, how do you know who's the one? And your response was, because I asked if we go to God to confirm that, which I believe that we should, but you had a different response to that. You said that is seen by both people, but that the man confirms that. And so my question was, even so, who did the man confirm that with? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
where?
I believe that there's a divine order, and I believe, like the Bible says, it says that God is the head of Christ. Christ is the head of man. The man, well, not man, the husband.
Yes.
Husband, head of what? Not
The
men
wife.
or women. But the Bible says to submit one to another. So I believe that there's a level of submission, but that, like Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. So I believe that they're just like we're able to recognize, able to see and recognize who these particular people or who we believe them to be. And I believe that God sends us signs. That also gives us free will. And I believe he honors what it is that we do and don't choose. But when that free will is also within the will of God.
Can't hear you. Muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody called me. So with that, I just believe that we have to, or like, how do you know who's the one? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think you really know until you know. Because I believe that you could have thought, just like Samuel. Samuel was about to crown the brother. And he looked and said, surely this is God's anointed. And he was
But
about to,
God confirmed. God
and
confirmed.
God corrected him. So I believe that, and what I'm saying is, when I say confirmed as far as the man, I'm saying because I'm just being honest. I've had so many women tell me that God told them I was their husband, this, that, and the third, right? And then it's like, well, I don't believe that God is going to go to you and not come to me. And that's what I'm saying as far as a confirmation, because I think a lot of times our desires for a husband will have us hearing and honestly chasing prophecies. And it's not just for people wanting husband. This is for men, whoever. Like, it's a lot of people that just chase prophecies. They literally, that's one of, even with Christ, like Christ had so many people that was chasing, because they was just chasing prophet. They was chasing the miracle and the signs. And he even rebuked a lot of them. He said, y'all are always looking for signs. Well,
Right.
God won't send you no sign. Look to heaven and see that the sun is coming. That's your sign. Your sign is the sun, because I created it. We created it.
That part, seek and you shall find me.
And so I just believe that chasing signs, I think a lot of times we're waiting for all of that. When really, if you just seek God, I believe it will all align. And I just believe that also, if you're seeking God and staying within the alignment of his will and his purpose, that you will stay aligned in him,
Hey,
even
Tristan.
even from a from a principle, as far as a principle perspective.
So maybe the one scenario still falls back in line with the assignment, which
Yeah,
is what I was saying. It's like,
yeah.
okay,
I said
if
I said opposite of that. What did I say opposite?
man, I'm gonna pull it up. Hold on.
Okay, yeah,
Before we leave, guys, just so we have it verbatim. Because
yeah. I
I
want to
didn't
make
know,
sure. Let
I
me
had
see
to go
that.
back and listen. I mean, listen, I had
But
to go
somebody
back.
just corrected me on one of my messages, and they misunderstood what I said. And I said, yeah, let me make sure. And but they corrected me on something that I said, and I was like, that's not what I said. That's what I said, but it's you're taking it completely out of context, though. It's a word, and I just want to make sure.
No, and I agree, because I had to read it a couple of times, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm reading this correctly, or if
yeah,
text sometimes can be misconstrued.
yeah.
Okay, so when people want whatever, hold on.
And if I misspoke, I misspoke earlier, and I told
I
you.
think it was just the way you said it. Okay, saw a tweet. Here we are. It was the way you said it, and maybe it could have been punctuation, because
Yeah, because
sometimes
I
that
don't do
played a
all
part in too. Okay, so this was the context, right? So I said, you said, but for the immature or insecure, feed their ego and the delusion of believing they are in control through fear of loss. Okay, so I said, agreed. It's okay if you lose me, beloved. Just means I was never yours to begin with, and vice versa. There's plenty fish in the sea. That kid was too cute. Okay, anyways. And so you said, yeah, but and which I figured what you were saying is, yeah, but other, because it says OOHH and then a space ER. So I was like, okay, maybe that's, yeah, but other fish ain't always your
your
fish.
fish, right?
So it's one thing to go after something or someone and even refuse to let them go you believe in if you believe they the one. But for me, it's how you go about it, which will determine if your obsession is rooted in your pride or need to own, or if it's rooted in love and your need to fulfill an assignment, which is why I came back and asked, so how is there a healthy, or what's a healthy way to be obsessed with an assigned relationship, which is why I said
Well,
that.
I was saying that the assignment I think I was saying was with God, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
That's the end of it?
Expand on that. You
Oh,
said the assignment, say that again. I didn't understand.
and yeah, so the assignment, the assignment is, I
You're
believe,
saying the obsession is to be the obsession is with the assignment. Is that what you were saying?
right, but I was saying the assignment as far as with God. Like she is also, if she is your assignment, if the love for her is part of your assignment.
Okay.
So you're going to be obsessed with fulfilling that, but think about it. Love ain't just dealing with marriage. It's not just marriage. Like even if it's having a strong friendship, Like, I love you in spite of the title or the label. I love you in spite of us sleeping with one another. Like, our love should be bigger than what is or is not going on.
Yeah, but this, I mean, and I'm not saying that that's just the pinnacle of marriage or whatever, but I am saying that this is specifically speaking about romantic relationships. And so if we're talking about romantic relationships, then clearly that's part of romantic relationships.
Right, it is, but I'm saying, but even if it's not, is what I'm saying. If I love you in or out of season. Like, I don't love God because I feel him. I love God because of who he is. Because there'll be often times where you won't feel his presence. It's oftentimes to where you're asking for an answer and you believe or feel like you have not heard from him. So in all that time, that's why a lot of our abandonment issues kick in even then, because we take the absence of an answer as rejection. So I'm saying to love him because he already spoke to me and told me what the assignment was or is. So regardless,
so basically, I'm being obedient to God's will because God told me that this was the assignment.
That's what it is. So regardless, if
hey,
you
Sean,
ain't with me right now, as far as romantically, I love you regardless. And oftentimes we can't love nothing that we can't touch or feel.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm saying the assignment, which would be ministry, which will be serving, which will be God's plan and God's will in our lives. And if you are a part of that plan, I don't care what you go do. I don't care if you go be a porn star tomorrow. It's going to come back full circle regardless.
Okay. So then I understand that a little better because, like I said, just the fact that you gave two say examples for obsession, like you said again, it's how you go about it, which will determine if your obsession is rooted in your pride or need to own, or if it's rooted in love and your need to fulfill an assignment, which made it seem to me, the way it sounded to me is like, okay, so you're saying that there's a healthy way to be obsessed as long as it's rooted in fulfilling an assignment. But then you can
chasing after God.
Okay. So then you said that the story of Solomon comes to me when the women were arguing over the baby and who it belonged to. And I thought for a second, like, okay, yeah, I remember that story. And it was basically like she was willing to let that baby go so that baby could live. But even then, that baby still came back to her. She never lost the baby because
but let's just
Solomon
say
had the spirit of discernment.
she would have. She was willing to lose the baby.
She was, yeah, that's what I say, for the baby to live.
Because I'm obsessed with this baby being alive. That's what as a mother, I'm going to do whatever it takes for my baby to live. Even if that includes it not being with me.
Yeah, letting the baby go.
That's what I'm saying. So now for that's real love versus the other one was obsessed with just having a baby.
Possession with ownership.
I just needed to possess it. And if I can't have it, then neither one of us can.
Right. So in that sense, it's obsession versus healthy or secure attachment because it's more so about assignment. Like, I want this baby to live.
And maybe because I played on the word obsession, but to me,
that's what
but to me, if she's willing to give up the baby, just like Moses, when the mom or whatever, and then she sent the daughter to follow. So I'm still watching.
Well, that's the reason why I say that if it's yours, I mean, if you lose it, it was never yours to begin with, because I do believe in the idea, if you will, or the concept that if you let something go and it comes back, then it's meant for you. I feel like it's
that's what I'm. So I guess it can come off obsessive if I send something off, but then the whole time I'm still watching. Some people would call that, I'm still watching. Like I'm still.
Like that did kind of give me the creeps.
I'm just saying, I'm still watching, but I'm not praying for your downfall. I'm just protecting.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm just saying, I'm still protecting because I just feel like that's what God does with us.
I hear you, but at the same time, I guess
He doesn't stop us.
I'm that person. Like if I break up with somebody, and I'm taking it to this concept because this is something I dealt with. But if I break up with somebody, I don't even want to see you at the grocery store. I don't want to see you at the grocery store. I don't want to see you at the gas station. I don't want to see you.
I see my exes all the time.
Hey, that's you, buddy. You get what I'm saying? I don't care. I don't care to share. I don't care to share space.
And the thing is, though, and for me, if I told you that I had one of my best friends, I love him, and we fell out. But even though we fell out, I still kept track on. I still watched. I still, hey, you know, how things, you know, I ain't asked him. I didn't ask him directly, but I found out through the grapevine, like, you know, everything's still going all right with him. Everything's still cool. Everything, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I guess maybe obsession.
I'm like, see, that's nosy to me. See, you need to mind your business.
Yeah, but no, I love him.
I get you.
You know what I'm saying? I love him. So therefore, because I love him, I don't have to be directly in front of you because we're not in that season right now. But I'm
still kind of keeping tabs on you.
Yeah, the Bible says to love your enemies, to love them that curse you, and
yeah, but that don't mean you keeping tabs on them. Then let's be very clear. That don't mean you keeping tabs on them.
You better keep tabs on the enemy. That might be why he said that's why he said, so I don't want you to be ignorant of their vices.
I mean, and I hear that, but I guess
why would Christ keep Judas so close to him?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that was God ordained. I'm saying for me personally,
you heard what you just said.
Me personally, okay. Me personally, okay. I don't care for us to share space.
You better watch your feet.
You can move on. Go.
Wash your feet.
Go.
Wash his feet.
Go find somebody to
wash his feet.
Go find somebody to wash your feet.
Wash his feet.
Because it ain't going to be me.
You got to wash your feet. You got to be willing to wash his feet.
I feel like the release was my way of love. Like, because this is how I love. I agree with you in that.
What if you're the only Bible that he knows?
Man, listen, I am so good at blocking, unfollowing, unfriending.
I bet.
I'm so good at it.
But what if his soul is on the line?
What they got to do with me? You need to be going to Christ.
It has everything to do with you.
You got to go to Christ.
Nah, but Christ uses people to bring people to him.
Yeah,
he uses ministry. He says, how faith coming by hearing, and hearing come by the word of God. It says, how can one hear without a who?
See, so now you're going back to making me think about protecting peace, because see what I'm not gonna do, right? Like that's where I gotta have boundaries for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to understand and respect the fruit that I've produced.
That's only till you mature. Once you mature, all that goes out the window. It just does.
I feel that we should have boundaries.
Yeah, I'm not saying not to have boundaries. Boundaries
ain't
got nothing to do with seeing someone in the grocery store. Because
I don't care to see. I mean,
what I'm saying is, at some point, when is the assignment of ministry more important than how you feel?
I don't have any feelings at that point. I'm being so honest with you. The idea for me to be able to detach says I love you from afar. I don't have any feelings. There's nothing.
Yeah, but maybe that's something we can agree to disagree on. But now you still do. If said person, if we are purposely avoiding someone.
How is that purposely avoiding?
You just said it. You was.
I said I don't care to. I don't care to. So like, tell. Oh my God!
You said
I don't care to.
Them. You said I blocked them. I can do that.
I can do those, and so this is what I mean that's why I say the boundary aspect is so important, because this is what I mean. Especially we're talking about a real life situation. This isn't hypothetically speaking. Okay. This is real life situation.
Okay.
If you are, you know what I'm saying, sending me DMs, you're in my emails, you're sending me old videos from 8-9 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like you're at that point and I'm not responding. I'm not responding, or I'm not whatever. And then now you're friends. It's like at some point.
I'm not saying to put yourself in a position to where it's someone that can possibly harm you.
This is what we're talking about.
No, that's not. No, that's what you went through. That's not what we was talking about.
When I say that I don't care to be in the same vicinity, I don't care. I don't care.
That's an individual. That's one individual. I'm talking.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking hypothetically.
But you talk to. But I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, that's an individual that you probably needed to remove yourself from for protective reasonings. What I'm talking about is a lot of people feel how you feel, regardless of who it is what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is, from a ministry aspect, from a ministry perspective, we have to elevate our mindsets to think further and not be concerned about those type things, is what I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying to not be aware. I'm not saying if someone is showing signs of being a stalker or possibly doing some form of harm because they're obsessive, they can't let go of this and that. I'm not saying to put yourself in a compromising or harmful position. What I'm saying is that sometimes, because that ex probably shouldn't have never been what we took it to, right? You possibly could be the vessel or the tool that can bring this person to Christ. Now, I'm not saying to get killed doing it, but at the same time, that's the price that we all pay in the name of Christ. That's all I'm saying. So for me, regardless of who, what, where, crazy, not crazy, whatever it is, and of course I'm a man, so of course I look at it a lot differently from that perspective as well. But I'm saying that oftentimes we jump prematurely and we remove certain people because we perverted the assignment. We participated in the perversion of the assignment, and oftentimes we might be the only Bible that the people know or see, and now their soul is on the line because of what we chose to reject or remove based off of how we feel and not being led by the Spirit.
That's all. I mean, I hear that, and just as someone who's experienced certain things, I definitely feel like.
You think you went through what David went through?
Which is?
Having a spear thrown at his head.
Oh, look, I'm like, he went through so much though. That's what I'm like, which is.
But he had a spear thrown at his head by someone that claimed to love him in one season and then hated him in another.
Absolutely. I went through that.
But
I agree with you, Lala. I do not want to see you in my space. I'm okay with being friends with you from afar. Yes. Because my peace is more important. To keep us in a good space with one another. Meaning if we are not in each other's life, it was for a reason. That wasn't good for us. So I totally agree.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean.
Just to
say what?
That's what we were taught.
I'm literally as a woman.
I got you.
I'm saying this is not hypothetical.
I feel
but you talk about you been through their yes worse. You know, as a woman, as a small, as a I don't care what my pictures look like. I'm a 5'5" woman. And in this situation, this is a 6'4", 2-something, you know what I'm saying, person. I'm very aware of how the threat on my life, if you will, is
greater is he.
Chris, you can keep all that.
But that's what is the Bible?
Right now, in this situation, you can keep all that.
That is in me.
You can keep all that. Okay. And I say that to say, greater is he that is within me, and that is the spirit of discernment that tells me, go to the unity in this cave, because Saul is after you. And he got people telling him where you at. He got people keeping tabs on you. And so you need to come to me to discern where you can go, where you should go, to keep away from this person that seeks your life.
And where it led him?
Where did he lead Saul, you mean?
No, where did it lead David?
To the cave.
No, it did not.
Okay, where did he lead him?
It led him to the enemy.
Or did he lead the enemy to him?
No.
While he was in the cave.
It led David to start to be encamped with the Philistines, who was the enemy. And because now he was ready to fight for the enemy because he was running from Saul, and guess what he ended up losing? Everything. Go look at the story. He lost everything.
I'm in Samuel right now.
Okay, well, keep reading. You're about to come to it. He lost everything. Everything.
What is your point?
My point is running from Saul. And I'm not saying not to be mindful of Saul, but to stay on the run from Saul to the point to where it leads you to the camp of the enemy.
Who's saying that I'm running?
I didn't say. You brought up going to the cave. So
I'm saying that as far as discernment.
All right. And what I'm saying is that discernment that led him to the cave also led him to the camp, to be encamped and in covenant with the enemy.
And even that was God ordained.
That's all I'm saying.
And even that was God ordained.
It was ordained for what?
For God to take down.
No, God used it. That was not the purpose. God used it.
Okay. I'm gonna let you have that, preach.
I'm saying. All right, because he can use it all.
Okay. Well, he used it.
It was never
meant
for David. It was never meant for David to be in covenant and willing to fight his own people with the enemy. That's why they didn't let him go.
Does it say that in the Bible?
He was finna go to war with the people that he was called to be king of. If he'd have went to war,
not hypothetically speaking, does it say that in the Bible?
Okay, no, it doesn't. But there's a lot of stuff.
Okay, so it's just an assumption. All I'm saying.
I just know that all I said was he was ready to fight with the enemy. The Philistines were the enemy. The Bible does say that.
I get that. And all I'm saying.
So now he was fighting with the enemy.
As someone, when we have these conversations that are hypothetical, you know what I'm saying? It's like we've been through it, but on the outskirts, it's going to be a little different than if I actually been in that situation. Because, and not just in it, but just how much of the in it I was in. Because my perspective is going to be different.
I get it. And I said, what did I say earlier when you said it? From an individual, I didn't say not to in that particular case. But what I'm saying is to treat all situations like that. All that is not all. That is case specific, like you said, discernment. And oftentimes we use the experience of a past situation to deal with a present. That's all I'm saying. And all I'm saying is, like you said, it led him to the cave. But in that cave, where he became a leader, and he left that cave at some point, and he found himself in the camp with the enemy. He found himself giving his homage, giving his tools, his resources, and everything that God, that he had became, and his people were fighting for the enemy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, okay. Okay. Well, yeah. So thanks for clarifying that because that was definitely, I was trying to figure out if there was a healthy way to be obsessed. Because I myself personally, I don't believe there is. And you came back and clarified that part when you said
I was just saying being obsessed with God, though. I was saying being, as far as in obedience. The Bible says to be a slave to Christ, to be a slave to him. So therefore, if I have enslaved myself to God, to enslave myself is to be a pretty obsessive. That's all.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was pretty much saying as far as to be obsessive to, because if I'm obsessive to the assignment, to my purpose, to God's purpose in my will in my life, then it's a lot of that stuff, all that other, I will not even indulge in, because that's outside of God's outside of God's character. It's outside of what he has called me to and not to be. But if I'm caught up in my own self, then yeah, I'm gonna do a lot of that crazy stuff.
Yeah. Agreed. So can we agree then too that I don't know why I hear myself say that. Um, where I said, also, do you think, or do you still think that God confirms the one? And you kind of touched on this a little bit, um, just a minute ago, when you said that it's about order. That, thanks, Sean. You said that it's about order. That man submits to Christ, and that, or husband, right? Husband submits themselves to Christ, and wives submit themselves to the husband.
Right.
So in confirming the one, what you said was that you've had plenty of women come to you saying that God has told them that you're their husband. But it's the man who confirms.
I believe so. Yes, I do. Just like with Boaz and what's it called? Boaz confirmed it. Because she actually got on one knee, which is a whole nother conversation, and asked him to marry her. Yeah.
She was at his feet, right? When you say on one knee, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, you didn't hear it, but go look at I can show you the customary perspective and aspect. Getting on the one knee that's a customary thing. That's what we do. She pretty much did what's equivalent to that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he said yes. So he confirmed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, we can talk about that one day too, because a lot of people don't see that one, but that's super real.
Well, I have the King James version, and it says that she laid at his feet, right? And
it said she covered herself with his cloak.
With his, yeah, but that doesn't sound like she got on one knee.
I got you. That's because you got to go to Ezekiel afterward. I send it to you.
Do.
All
right, so it's 10. We've been on here since 8.
Yeah, I gotta go by the stove.
All right.
To the gym today. I'm gonna go tomorrow.
Well, we appreciate you, Preach.
No problem.
Thanks to everybody who hopped on. We love you and appreciate you next week.
And we had less complications this time. We getting it together.
Amen. All right. See you next week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. See you later. Ciao.